this few moments that we're going to talk a little bit about great things, music, and other things. In your holy name, we pray and we thank you. Amen and amen. So, Mark. I finally got Mark Shug with us today. So, Mark, talk to us a little bit about your background. He talk to us. I mean, I know I always talk to you, but never know much about you. So, go ahead, talk to us. You know, you're a Philly guy. You was born wherever. Go ahead, just talk to us, Mark. Go ahead.
Well, let's see. Let's start at the beginning. I came from upstate New York. I'm in Philadelphia now. I've been here for about 32 years.
Wow.
And I've been with the Recording Academy for about 16. Started in 99. Left in 2006 to do some other things. Then they hired me back in 2010. And still here, thankfully.
Wow. Let me say this. You know, it's a privilege to know and understand that you are persistent in what you're doing and how things are moving in a very special way, because we know that it's a hard job what you do. Actually, I've been with the Recording Academy for 20 years now. It's been a long time, and I know you, and I know you've always been involved. You're always working specifically for music. I know you have that passion for music. But Mark, talk to me a little bit about your music background. How did you got into music, and what made you do this? Go ahead.
Well, always loved music. Tried to play guitar. Was not blessed with that skill set.
Okay.
But when I moved to Philadelphia, I had the opportunity to intern at a recording studio, and ultimately became the studio manager and ran Studio 4 for about 9 years. During that time, I started working with some independent artists and managing them, and got a couple small label deals set up and got these bands up and rolling. Ultimately, we changed the whole business model, and I bounced around for a bit and ended up here.
And with your all the project, the projection of the music career, the studio, management and all that, and back in the day, the music business have just changed. It just drastically changed. In your opinion, what do you think? You think the time of the 60s, 70s, 80s. What time do you think has been the best time for people to really go out there and put music out? I know today's easier. That's what we assume. But what, in your opinion, with all this transition, go ahead.
Tough question, my friend.
Hey, go ahead. Take your time. Take your time. There's no rush. We got a little time today.
I think that, this is a great time to put out music and a difficult time to put out music, because you can, unlike back in the 60s and 70s, you kind of needed to find someone at a recording studio and bring some money to them to make a record, whereas now you can do a lot of it at home in a much smaller setting. The flip side to that is that there's a whole lot more people making records right now. So to get your music heard takes a little more work. We have the luxury of the internet now, so you can get music out to people who are like-minded and how they think and listen to music and what they're interested in. So there's kind of a riches and niches effect. It's easy to look back at the older music and say that was the good time, that was the great music back in the day, but at the same time, there's some pretty amazing stuff happening right now. So it's kind of an interesting balance.
Exactly. And not only that, I always look at, the past and now and see how things change so drastically, and, the culture and the radio stations too, because that's a different culture as well. We can talk about that. But, I think, it's all about, you say, being persistent, consistent, and doing what you got to do. So, Mark, you from upstate New York. So what made you move to Philadelphia? That's the question. I know so what made you move to Philly? Go ahead.
During college, I came down here and did an internship with a photographer. So I moved back to Philadelphia. I love this city, so I moved back to Philadelphia. And it's like there's not a lot going on in upstate New York. It's a lovely place, but it's a little quiet on the business side and on the music side. So
got you.
Philadelphia is my home now.
Oh, hey, believe me, I'm for sure that your heart is here in Philly. Believe me, I know that. And another thing, we want, people that are out there that want to know more a little bit about you. Family structure, how many kids you got, the wife. You want to talk a little bit about that? It's up to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, married, stepson, grandfather.
Oh, wow.
All local.
Mm. Well, you know what? You look young. You're a young man.
It's my Zoom filter.
Well, the good thing is that you keep yourself healthy, and that's the most important thing. Another great thing that we want to know about you. What's your genre of music that you really listen to? on a daily basis, or what's your specialty on that, and your favorite artist? Who's your favorite artist? Because this is the thing, people don't know that you are always around musicians. They don't know that. I mean, I know that for a fact. So it's hard. So you tell me. Go ahead.
Another difficult question. I listen to a lot of stuff. I mean, I have a little bit of ADD, and so when I'm at my desk, I listen to kind of atmospheric music because you can work over that. I tend to like older rock, and I tend to like newer rock. I listen to a lot of the blues. I've got some good friends that recommend and send me stuff, and that's what I listen to. I live on Spotify, so it's things pop up, and it's like, oh, let me check that out. They kind of make those recommendations, and you find things that you wouldn't have found on your own. So, favorite band's probably the Rolling Stones or David Bowie.
Got you. And my other thing is, but for people that don't understand, he's the Recording Academy is part of the Grammys. Okay, so he runs the Operation Philadelphia for so long, and assists all the executive, the president, and so forth. He does a great job. I always tell him that he does a great job. So that's very good. But in your whole time of being in that specific position, I know now you're a senior. Back in the day, you were a beginner, so now you're a senior. So
those are the great.
So my question is, what has been one of your greatest challenge in regarding to that? Because see, people don't know, when Grammy time come, and that's the busiest time. So what do you think has been your greatest challenge in that specific position? That's a good question.
Grammy time's actually easier for me because I'm not involved in putting the show together. So, the rest of the folks in the home office in LA, that's a busy time for them. It's interesting because it's hard to connect with who's making what, because it's more underground. It used to be more easy to find people. So you're more reliant. We have a great board that are advisors, ambassadors, and kind of like ears into the community on what's going on. It's in some ways it's easier to research people, but at the same time there's so many things going on, a lot of it just right under the surface that takes a little extra diligence to find. I think the hardest part right now obviously is dealing with the effects of the pandemic and trying to make sure that music makers keep getting heard in terms of legislation. You were involved in District Advocate last week, as well as our Music Care support for some of our music makers who have really, stumbled on hard times. This is a very difficult time for a lot of music makers.
And not so much that is just the whole job, because people just think is recording music and that's it, that's part of it, but there's so many jobs involved in that specific arena of producing music, making music, and being part of what different things. And I'm glad that I'm also part of the organization, and I'm able to go. Especially, I remember when we went to the White House. Remember that time? So those are memories and things that I didn't forget. I still got the picture. I got it up here in my office. But I remember when we went to the White House. So I mean, one of the things is that people don't know that it's a challenge. It's a challenge, and it's a lot of work. But in your whole overall, what has been your most memory, I would say, cherished musical moment, you got to meet that specific person that you admire or so forth, or you got to interact, because like I say, had that opportunity in so many occasions. And I know one thing I like about you, Mark, is that you're very humble, you're very down to earth guy, that's very essential. But in your it's hard because I know you, but what would you consider be your special moment, like that moment, like, oh, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever, you tell me. I'm here to hear you. Go ahead.
There's been a couple of things. I mean, I had the chance, I mentioned that I like the blues, and obviously B.B. King is the king of the blues, and by virtue of being staff, you end up working backstage, doing different roles during the show. So the first 2 years I worked here, I had the chance to meet him. The first year, I was introduced to him when he came backstage. He had just won a Grammy. And the next year, he came backstage. I was in the same place. I was working in one of the media rooms, and came up and gave me this big hug like he hadn't seen me.
You know what?
I don't know how the gentleman's met 100,000 people. I don't know. I don't think that he actually remembers me, but it certainly felt good at the moment. I've had the chance to meet Buddy Guy and talk to him for a bit, which was awesome also. But I mean, probably the best story is that the first event I did back in '99, my now wife came to, and that's where we met.
Okay.
So,
wow. Look at that. I'm gonna let your wife know that's the best story, so I'm gonna let her know. But no, that's. I mean, and I know. See, I know that all these moments is very cherishable. I mean, and it's something that it's not easy, but it's great times, great moments. And I could say for a fact because I met BB King before he passed away. I did have a chance to meet him, and one thing I learned about all these artists is that they are good people and they're all down to earth. I mean, they're all great down to earth people, and that's what people don't know. And then okay, to wrap it up, two more questions, Mark. In your opinion, people who are starting out in the music business. I mean, we have a lot of high schoolers. You have a lot of people at college level, and you have a lot of kids that young ages. So in your specific experience, with record labels, the Grammy show, get in there. What's your best recommendation? I mean, there's no specific answer, but what would you say that they should try to work on, in that perspective?
I think the hardest thing for creators and music makers in particular is understanding that you're a creator, but you're also a business. And so you need to, while you're practicing your skills and you're writing your music, you also need to take time and understand and read and listen about how the business works, how banking works, how credit works, how all these things work. How does publicity work? Because as an independent artist, you're going to need to do all of this yourself for quite a while. So the more that you can learn, the more, and particularly right now, everything's happening online. So there's so much information available. You can watch different podcasts, you can watch different Zoomcasts, but the more you learn, the better off you're going to be. Don't just kind of niche yourself in one place, broaden your perspective, look at everything, and then listen to a lot. I mean, there's so much available. Listen to things that are outside your world, and it's like it may spark you to come up with something even better than you're doing right now.
And you know what? I gotta commend you on that. Is like making people know. Open mind. There's no specific answer. Open your mind. Look at all the options. Look at everything, and that's the most important thing. And finalizing. And let me tell you something. Let me say this story to the people because I've been inviting Mark for 2 years almost to this show, but. We made it, Mark. We made it. Now you can say Alex did. We made it. But no, we glad to have you here. And one more thing, what do you on your off time? What's the hobbies you like doing? I mean, what are the things that you love to do on your off time? Not just working on music or.
We're supposed to have off time.
Well, what I mean off time, family time. You know how it is. Your wife you want on vacation. I remember a few weeks I called you. I'm with the family, so not family time. So just. Something that you do to relax because you relax. I mean, I know you're always working because this job is always working. You always got phone something, but in your time that you say, okay, I'm just going to go on vacation. What you like to doing? What you like doing?
I'm a cyclist. I like to ride my bike.
Oh, okay.
I like to watch hockey on TV. And just being with friends, man. Just like getting away from this and talking about other things.
You said the right word, getting away for a moment, because you never get away. But for that specific second. But Mark, it's been a pleasure having you. I had Carl last year and so forth, and like I said, God has blessed us with these doors to really help out, get the word out. You're welcome anytime. Anything that we need to put out, you're welcome. This station is your station, and we are happy to have you. I mean, it's been a pleasure to have you on this program. This is not the first or the last time, so this is just the beginning. So don't say, "Oh, Alex," no, this is just the beginning. Okay. So, what are your final thoughts for the audience out there?
I thought that was my final thought.
Okay. So we leave it at that then. So Mark Schulz, executive.
I think like you said it best. Like you paraphrased. It's like just be open. Like right now, like we're such an interesting place in our culture where everyone's kind of locked in their own thoughts. Just stop, read more, listen more. Just take it all in and be open to it.
Exactly.
The more you know, the better you know.
No, but I'm really glad to have you here to get to know a little bit more about you, because we always say hi, bye. We've been to this meeting here. You always run in, but that's been a quick. Yeah, there you go. But it's okay. Like I say, you like you say, think about it. If you didn't get rid of me in 20 years, you think now you're gonna get rid of me? It's impossible. But no, thank you so much for being on the program with us. And Mark Schulz, Senior Executive Director for the Recording Academy Philadelphia chapter. Thank you, Mark, so much for being with us.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you.
Okay, blessings. Put us in. See you later. You change it. Oh. How did it come out? Did you put?